Alrighty, let's get it. Welcome back. Team video 2023. What date is it today? Thursday the 19th of Jan. Let's see how the team looks. Let's go over the team, how it finished. Finished, what, 800th, I think, in the end. 827th, not bad considering had no trades left. And, yeah, the team finished in pretty good shape. No rookies on the field, but Jack Crisp, basically a rookie. What? Anyway, let's go. This is the team for 2023. So let's actually move this shit out the way. I'll bring it over here. Yep, alright, I'll bring it there. So let's have a look. Let's go down. So first player we have is Jack Sinclair. So the only question mark with Sinclair is Ross Lyon. Besides him, I don't have any issue with him whatsoever. He should average at least 110 with that role. He's a massive stat pad and they look for him every time they exit defense. So Sinclair is a must have, I think, even for that price tag. Like, I don't trust Doherty, I don't trust Hearn, I don't trust anyone under 6. So yeah. Sicily's one I didn't have last year and I wanted to have him pretty much all season. So I think you just have to bite the bullet and start with him. He's going to take the kick-ins. They look for him just like they look for Sinclair. And yeah. And it's the same with Dawson. Like, he takes kick-ins. He gets tagged a bit, but I think he'll be fine. I think, he's actually got a much better role now than what he did when he started last year. So should average 115, I reckon. I reckon they'll be the top 3 defenders, and I'm not going to guarantee it, but I reckon like they're guaranteed top 5, 100%. Those 3, as long as they don't get injured. Alright, let's jump into the fun stuff. So the mid. Now, obviously structure will change based on rookies, but in the mid we've loaded up. So Laird. Now the reason I've paid up for Laird, and a lot of people will say, "Oh, you're a dickhead, paying that much for Rory Laird," but you know what? He doesn't get tagged, and I think he finished the season averaging like 130. He averaged, what did he average on the year? He averaged 128 on the year since moving fully into the mid. Tackling machine. Like, I really rate Laird, and I think he might drop to like 600 and people will get him, but I'd rather just have him from the start and have these reliable primos that aren't going to get tagged. Like, they're just gold, those ones that don't get tagged. And Clayton Oliver's one that probably will get a bit more attention this year, but I don't think you can really do much to stop him. He's just too good in the contest, and I don't think you can stop him, honestly. It's Clayton Oliver. He's going to find the ball and so much contested possession. So I think you definitely have to have one of Laird, Neil, Oliver, and Took. Maybe even 2, but for me, I've gone with the top 2 dogs. They've got 5 points odd on Neil, who gets tagged literally every week, and Miller started to get it tagged a bit as well. So Bont, I think, is a no-brainer. People might not pick him, but without Dunkley, I think he averaged like 130 or something without Dunkley, so gee, it'd be risky not to pick him. I think it'd be really risky not to pick him. I think 116 is absolute floor when it comes to his average in 2023. I think he probably goes 125 to 130 around that mark, and it'll be M1, 2, or 3. I'm pretty confident in that. And I think Jack McRae will be up there as well, but I really don't trust Luke Beveridge with him. He doesn't respect him as much as us super coaches do. So yeah. Patrick Cripps is one that probably will turn a few heads as well, and I think massive no-brainer for me. Like, complete and utter no-brainer. I'll tell you guys a bit about my thoughts on Cripps. So he's super hungry. He came back to training early. The way he's been talking, like, he's really motivated to win and to play well. Not only that, is he actually has Pitternet. So I think he averaged something like 135 with Pitternet in the team. So if he gets 22 games of Pitternet in the team, I mean, you work it out. Sounds pretty straightforward to me, and literally, I don't know if you guys watch it, but whenever those 2 play together, Pitternet looks for Cripps every single time without fail. So it's just such a no-brainer pick for me. Now Jacob Hopper's an interesting one, probably will be picked in a few teams. 330k. I think he's a jet. I just think he hasn't had the right role at GWS, and I think everyone's sort of in the same boat with that. We all sort of feel like this kid can probably average 95 to 105, somewhere around that mark, as a full-time mid at Richmond. Yeah, provided he gets the CBAs. So I think he makes at least 150k and gets to 500, and you can ship him off. He probably won't be top 6. I mean, he could, but definitely unlikely. Will Ashcroft, so I reckon this guy's a bit of a wanker, to be honest. I saw him talk on draft night, and some of the stuff I've heard about him, I just reckon he's a bit of a flog, bit up himself. But got to pick him. He destroyed the juniors, so massive stat pad as well. So, and he'll get plenty of mid time, I reckon, at Brisbane. Even though he's in a tough mid, I think they value him pretty highly, and a number 2 pick or whatever. So everyone's going to have him. And the rest of the rookies, I don't know. So with the rucks, I've gone pretty straightforward, and I think these two will be the most picked rucks as well. So Tim English. Now I don't love this pick, but at this point I just feel like there's no other good options, and I think he's probably one of the only ones that'll get a big chunk of ruck time out of like the top 8. And like he did get injured, so like give him a full season, he should be good. And natural progression probably bumps him up to like a 108, 109 average, which will definitely be top 2, I think, with Gawn. Obviously having Grundy, I don't see Gawn playing much ruck. I mean, like he will, but I don't see Grundy going forward that much. Like he's not a forward. Grundy's not a forward. And then Witt's just a bit too old. I mean, he was really good last year, but for that price, I just don't think I can go with Jared Witts. And then Ron Marshall, so Hayes is out for a bit. Surely St Kilda just say, you know what, Hayes, you can play in the Rezzies and let's just play Marshall. Or you can play forward, Hayes, and we're going to just go with Marshall because, yeah, Marshall's average when he's a sole ruck is obviously really good. So they're the 2 rucks at the moment. They could definitely change, no doubt. Anyway, let's move on to the forward line. So Josh Dunkley, must have, looks in really good shape, obviously. He'll get plenty of mid-time at Brisbane. Finally won't have to fight, I don't think. I think he'll be their absolute number 2 mid. Jared Lyons dropped off a bit last year. Cam Rayner's up and down. Lockie Neal's obviously their guy. But I think Dunkley's going to be that like absolute number 2 guy. So, yeah, lock in Dunkley for a 110 average. Stephen Cornelio, so this is one that probably a few people won't pick, but the way he actually finished last year, I think from rounds 10 to 23, he had like a 115 average or something. So he'll be he's got the right role under the new coach, so he'll be a top 3 forward for sure. Maybe even F1. I think F1 or 2 will be Dunkley and Cogs. Now Taranto's one that looks, there's just so many green flags with him. Like he looks really in good shape. He looks like he's hungry and motivated and should have the right role finally. Like I don't know who's going to play mid. You know, Dusty's gone forward. Who's that Richmond mid? Like besides Prestia, Cochin's pretty terrible, I'm not going to lie. And he's getting old anyway, so they might move him. But anyway, that'll be the rotation. It'll be Prestia, Taranto, Hopper and Cochin. They'll be their main 3 guys and main 4 or 5 guys in there. So yeah, I really like these 2 Richmond boys, and they're getting a lot of attention, but definitely for good reason. So I've got Nat Fife, and people probably think this is stupid as well, but you know what, 300k Nat Fife, I don't care if he gets injured, I'll trade him, but the upside is just insane. And he probably will play a lot forward, but I think when push comes to shove, their midfield's getting beaten, they're not going to leave that 2-time Brownlow medalist sitting forward, I don't think. I could be wrong, but I mean, it's Nat Fife, like it's disrespectful not to pick him at that price, regardless of how many injuries he had. It'd be like if Gary Ablett, you know, that year he came to Geelong, everyone knew he was injury prone and he was going to do his hammy. And he did. And he was 600 odd K. I remember starting him. A lot of people started him. And if he was 300k, everyone would have started him. So, yeah, wait and see with Nat Fife, I guess. Like, he's not an absolute lock, but I think, you know, at this point, it's pretty hard to pass up on him in such a crappy forward line. Yeah, there's not many good forward options is what I'm trying to say. Toby McLean, so he's a rookie priced, so he'll have to be picked. So a few players we'll talk about. We'll talk about Tom Mitchell. So he's a massive JLT watch, like an insanely massive JLT watch. I don't remember a player that could go off as much as him for what he's priced at. And Jack Steele is also another one to watch. So he's actually not training apparently with the group. So I wouldn't be going anywhere near him. And for his price tag, for me to pick him over like a Laird, I would have to see some really, really good JLT performances. He played really average in the practice match. I call it JLT. I don't know what it's called. It's probably called the Amy match or something. But yeah, he played really well. He played really bad in those 2 games last year, and normally he really tears it up. So I should have taken that hint and not started him. That being said, you can't really tell when someone's going to get injured. But yeah, they're two guys I really would like to watch. And yeah, like for the mids, honestly, Tuke Miller and Lockie Neal, two guys that I started last year, and I kind of regret not picking, but you know, those two guys get tagged a lot. They get tagged a hell of a lot compared to Clayton and Rory. So, and even Bont. I mean, Bont doesn't really get tagged anymore either. I used to always be like, oh, if Bulldogs are going to get tagged, it's going to be Bont. And Bont barely gets to get tagged. He might get a little bit of attention, but I think he can shake it pretty easily. And everyone knows he gets bailed out with the scoring system. Champion Data loves him, so yeah. Interesting year going into it because taggers are much more relevant than what we thought coming into last year. So I think we really have to think about things. We really have to think about picking players like Neal and Miller, even Petrarca. Like these guys do get tagged, and Brayshaw as well. Merritt, like all these guys get tagged a lot. And I really want to pick players that I know I feel comfortable, even if they're getting a hard tag. I feel like the guys I have can shake them pretty well. So thank you guys for watching. See you in the next video.